Hey guys, DarrenJB here, and I stream on Twitch. For those of you who don't know, I stream a Guardian Druid for progression, normal, and heroic raids. Now, this is a POV for Guardian Druid that I decided to make, as when I was looking online, I noticed a lot of POV for Death Knights and Warriors and Monks, different things like that. However, I did not notice much or any for Guardian Druid. There are the basic guides that have, like, let's say method and whatnot with their Guardian Druid as a main character in the raid itself. However, there is no aspects as to what exactly is going on for yourself as a Guardian Druid. So this video is going to just kind of explain the basics. There's two strategies you can go through this. The strategy that we're currently using is the circle strategy, going counterclockwise while facing the gate. Now, if you don't understand what counterclockwise means, just as a basic type of thing, it means going left. That's basically all it means. So what you're doing is, while you're tanking the boss, you are making it so when the Alluring Flames comes out, you are moving him just kind of around the room towards the left-hand side, circling around to the right. Now, the whole point of this strategy is you initially pull him where he is, and have range stack loosely in the middle towards behind you. Now, while you're doing that and you are moving him, you are just slowly moving him across the border of where the fell pools are. Now, as you keep going around the room, as you can see as the other tank has pulled off me, he and I are continuously taunting off for the Mark of Death, so this way you don't die as per the usual mechanic. Now, if you look at the way that we are placing the fell orbs itself, that the mechanic that works with the ranged for DPS that you have to kill, we're placing it towards the center of the room. There are a couple of little things that you have to pay attention to, such as if you are currently tanking the boss, know that you decide where that orb will spawn, as it will spawn behind you. So when you initially pull it, you want to have the orb face towards either the center or your range. So this way, when they do get the Fell Flames, they kind of move it in a, I'd say, clockwise type fashion at the beginning, and more so just towards where you previously were standing for the fire. So this way you have a lot more room to deal with. Now, there are a bunch of advantages to doing this circular type of clear. However, there's also advantages to what's called the ping pong strategy. That I'll get to in a bit. Now, as a Guardian Druid, essentially what you're looking at is going between 1 to 2 phases. There's not much that you need to worry about essentially as a tank, no matter which kind of tank you are. Just know, if you are doing this strategy, to try and keep, I'd say, at least Barkskin or Savage Defense up for when the main ad comes out. Generally, as there is no real like one-shot type mechanic, such as, let's say, Manroth with Glaive combo and whatnot, you don't need to focus much on saving your cooldowns. More so is just having at least one up for an opportune timing on what you're trying to do for the fight. So let's just go through each phase so I can explain exactly what you're doing and when. So phase 1, you start out at the beginning of the room. You taunt him, and ranged and melee will be coordinating in their spot. And as you are tanking him counterclockwise, you want to make sure that essentially you want to have Savage Defense up 100% of the time. It doesn't matter exactly when you activate it, it's just essentially the more uptime you have while tanking the boss with it, the better. So if you are at one point not tanking the boss and you will be tanking the ad from Marked for Death, know that you should still have it on cooldown, as that ad does still hit you for a decent amount. If your ad dies and you are not currently tanking anything, keep Savage Defense on. So like, just don't use any of the cooldowns on it, don't use any of the charges. Just let it recharge up to 2 stacks, as you won't be taking any type of physical damage, and you won't need any type of healing buffs, as you should not be receiving any damage during that phase. The only damage you will ever receive in the first 30% will be when the boss himself is hitting you, or the ad is hitting you, and it puts the debuff on you. Now, the second phase, which goes up to and including 55%, which will add the main ads, the 3 Dreadstalkers and the 1 Fel ad. You can taunt the Fel ad. It doesn't matter if you're currently tanking the boss or not. Just make sure it's not hitting any DPS or healers. That's the main point of that, is just you taunt it, interrupt it, make sure it dies, because you're still dealing with Mark for Death. Mark for Death is a constant activated effect throughout the entire fight until you reach 40%. Now at 40% he will begin to cast, as you can see, Neath Banish on you. When you get Neath Banish on you, you will have a green ring around you. Best thing to do, you should always have voice for Archimonde. If somebody ever says no voice, generally you're going to be wiping for a bit, only because voice allows you to tell people exactly when you are going into the Neath Banish, as a lot of people tend to tunnel. So if you say tank has Neath Banish, just announce your name. Let's say the Guardian Druid has Neath Banish on him, stack on him groups, let's say 1 and 3 or 2 and 4. So everybody would stack and you're sent into this phase. This phase is the Neath Banish phase. In this phase, all you have to do is tank this one ad. The main thing that you have to worry about is make sure you are away from the star. The star will focus one person, as you can see there, the voice star. It will focus one person and it will just trail them. The main thing that you have to worry about is making sure you don't hit that while tanking the mini boss inside. Now the mini boss has some effects. The effects are the cast, which you can interrupt. Know that when you interrupt it, the person who interrupted it will have a kind of pool appear underneath them with a decent radius on it. The main thing that you have to remember is that it's constantly dealing damage to you, and it deals a decent amount of damage while you're in that pool. So it's easy enough for you to just taunt the boss and move it, as unless it's doing the cast, it is melee attacking you. Now this is another phase. Since you are taking a decent amount of melee attacks, you want to make sure that you have small cooldowns up, if anything, especially since it is a smaller group and generally you'll only have one healer in with you. So that is a phase that you may want to keep at least 1 survival instincts and maybe 1 to 2 savage defense up, just before you go in, if you know you're going to go in. Now this is the last and final phase. This phase hits at 25%. At 25%, he will start casting Rain of Chaos. Now, Rain of Chaos will put green swirls around the ground. Know that it's just like every other mechanic, however, he stops casting Mark for Death. He keeps doing Neath Banish, like I said, at the 40% mark he stops casting it. Generally at this point you have a suicide squad, which generally goes in with the 1 tank to go in and kill it. You can do it just regularly, where you send everybody in regularly, whatever groups you assign, just to go in and down the mini boss. However, know that you either do one or the other, so specify that before you go in. When you're in that phase, all you have to do is make sure you taunt one of the ads that spawn for Rain of Chaos, which is the Infernals that you saw. And once you taunt one of those, there should be a hunter or a off tank, different things like that, depending on how exactly you want to set it up. And they will taunt off or move the rest of the Infernals away, kill them off. And then your main priority after that is just killing the boss, making sure you survive. Now, like I said, that's pretty much everything for the fight, and that is a Guardian Druid's point of view on the fight. Thank you everybody for watching. Remember, I have Twitter, there's Facebook, Instagram, all that will be below in the description. Thank you everybody for watching. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Peace.